Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to talk about WandaVision. I want to talk about what is Agnes up to, or should we say Agatha Harkness, because clearly something big was revealed at the end. If you haven't seen it yet, this is going to contain some spoilers, so go and watch the episode if you haven't already. What's wrong with you? You had the whole weekend, you could have watched it by now. So I'm going to presume that you watched it, and let's get into spoiler talk. Even though I did my spoiler review, which you can check out my thoughts on the entire episode, this is going to be more contained about a certain thing that I think could be happening. Agatha Harkness, Agnes was revealed to be Agatha Harkness, who in the comics was someone who babysat Wanda and Vision's kids. And there was some mysterious stuff going on. Although she was more of an ally in the comics from what I read upon. And she also babysat Reed Richards and Sue Storm's kids too, from what I read. So there was a part of me that was almost swayed because I read that earlier on, that I thought maybe Agnes isn't that bad. But that laugh the week before made me think to myself, no, she is tied behind all this. She is evil. I'm not trusting her, and I'm glad my instincts were right. I didn't fall for any of the traps that they tried to sway us on. I was like, no, she is evil, and I'm sticking with it, because that witch laugh the week in the Halloween episode just made me convinced that she has to be somehow behind this. And I was right. She is Agatha Harkness, who was not so bad in the comics, turns out to be a bad guy on this show. Maybe there could be more tied behind it, but for now, I'm going to say she's pure evil. And yes, I do think she is working for someone. Now, the question is, what does she want with Wanda? What is she doing with Wanda right now? I've heard a lot of theories, and I want to add on to some theories that I've heard, because I do think there's some interesting ones out there. One that I heard recently was that if you go and watch the openings of each show, where they say last time on WandaVision, Wanda's voice begins to sound less enthusiastic as each episode goes by when she does the intro the last time on. And I thought that was a really great catch, because I was not noticing that at all. And I thought that was like, wow, if they are hinting at something with that, that is really clever. And so I was thinking about it. Okay, so if that is connected to something, because as most people are saying, nothing in this show seems to be an accident. Everything is hinting at something in this show. And I thought, okay, well, what could this be hinting at? And I heard the same theory. I heard that, well, what if it's symbolizing that Wanda is having her powers drained? And I thought, well, that could be interesting. That would, when someone sounds less enthusiastic, it's because they're being drained, they're getting tired. Is there anything else in this show that kind of indicates it? Obviously, we saw a book at the end of the last episode, a book that looks like it should belong to Doctor Strange in his emporium of magic books, his library of magic books, whatever you want to call it. Clearly, and if you go back and watch Doctor Strange, there actually is a book missing. So that would actually make perfect sense. I know there's a lot of theories out there that it could be the Darkhold, which was seen in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I looked at that book, and I looked at the book in the episode of WandaVision again, and I said, they look very different from one another. I don't think they're going to connect it to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but then again, you'll never know, because there have been quite a few references to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in WandaVision lately. Not only with that, but with the Hydra soap. The Hydra soap was also referenced in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I know that director Hayward, what's his name? There was a villain in the first season, someone who was a bad guy with the same last name, and some people were connecting it to that character. Although I don't think so. I think that's too much of a stretch, because that character was only seen in one episode. Why would you connect a small potato character like that to a main character on this show? I think that's too big of a stretch. I just think the Hayward last name is a coincidence. I don't think there's any connection there. But you'll never know. Maybe they want to do a deep cut reference, and that's the best deep cut reference. That is really deep cut if they really go that far. But then again, they brought back that scientist from Iron Man 1 to return in Spider-Man Far From Home. So who knows who's important in anything nowadays, in any of these shows or movies. Like the janitor from Spider-Man Homecoming could return and find out he's a villain now. So was there a janitor? I don't remember. But anything is possible, I guess, at this point, right? I am going to say that if you do go back and watch WandaVision the way it started, there are maybe some clues there that it does indicate that Wanda's powers are being drained and maybe being used maybe to open this book, or maybe for something else entirely. Maybe the book is just a part of it. Maybe the book has a spell that's helping whatever's going on here. Because Wanda's eyes did glow purple at the end. So the theory is that if you go back and watch, everything is perfect in that very first episode of WandaVision. It feels straight on like a black and white sitcom from the 50s. And some people will be like, oh, well, yeah, but the point is, it feels like they were straight, it almost felt entirely like the writers lose their minds and they just forgot what the MCU is. It just, until the very last couple minutes of that first episode, when the boss, I forgot what the boss, Mr. Hart, when he started choking. And then all of a sudden, that was the first big, okay, something's up here. Something just happened. And then they laughed it off and going on their little way back home, right? So then we get to the second episode and we start seeing more strange things happening. And that's the color, right? The color starts appearing and we hear something in the radio, right? Things are starting to crack a little bit more in that second episode. But they still maintain the black and white sitcom route, right? In the third episode, we start to get color, right? At the end of the second episode, things start going to color. Things start breaking in. It's like Wanda's losing control. In the third episode, we start seeing her. The first big thing that we see her, she's not really in control anymore, is the stork. The stork becomes real and she can't make the stork disappear. The stork is just there. It won't go away. Why? Who knows? And then, obviously, the latest episode, we see her just losing it completely. The television is transforming, the lights are transforming, everything's transforming. Now, I thought maybe this was just she's having a psychotic break. She's about to break. It's getting there any second. But then I thought to myself, well, wait, instead of having a psychotic break, what if she's just really losing her abilities? Like, what if she is getting drained and all of this is going out the window and that's why she's losing control? Not because she's going to have a psychotic break, but what if she's just really losing her powers and that's why it's getting harder to maintain all of this? And Agatha is using that book for whatever reason to drain it. Now, the question would be, if Agatha is draining, if she is draining Wanda of her powers, what is she using her powers for? Is it to bring someone back from the dead? Is it to bring someone from another reality to our reality? Some people believe the Mephisto situation, which, ever since I heard the Mephisto thing from episode 2, where the devil's in the details and all that, and then more references to the devil as the series continued. There's been these little things here and there, and I think the fly on the wall, the fly or the moth, whatever you want to call it, on the curtain was there in the last episode, because if you know the fly on Pence's head, the devil and Satan and all that was trending that day. That happened during the vice presidential election. And when you learn about what's the connection between the fly and the devil and witches, you start to see a lot more connections that are pointing towards Mephisto, which is starting to make a lot of sense now. I do think it has something to do with Mephisto. What exactly? I don't know. Are the kids somehow involved? Because the kids they disappeared in the last episode. Wanda even starts wondering, where are the kids? Like, and Agatha's like, oh, they're in the basement, and that's how she lured Wanda back there. It's some interesting stuff is going on. There's still some questions that are unanswered that we don't have clear answers to. I do think I am starting to see how this could lead into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness very easily now. Maybe we won't see Mephisto at the end of the series, but it could hint at him being the villain in that movie. That would seem like the best place to put Mephisto, right? And that Agatha is working for him. Again, for what? Who knows? But that for now is what I think. I think she definitely is draining the Wanda's powers, her abilities, using that book. Whatever spell she has in that book right now, it's helping with all of this right now. And that's why we're seeing Wanda lose control the way she is. Obviously we have 2 more episodes left, and it's going to be really exciting to see what the answers truly are. But right now, that's my theory on all of that. If I had to guess what Agatha is exactly doing, maybe she's trying to free Mephisto from some imprisonment. If I had to guess. He's imprisoned somewhere, maybe in another galaxy, maybe in another dimension. After all, we know about the dimensions of the multiverse in the first Doctor Strange movie. They give us a little lesson on some of that in that film. It would make sense if maybe he's trapped in the dark dimension with Dormammu. Who knows? Maybe it is Dormammu who Agatha is trying to bring back. You know, he is kind of like the devil of the MCU so far. You know, if you had one character to pick from, Dormammu could be that character to represent that. But I think if I have a feeling it's going to be Mephisto. I think they're going to want a new villain for the MCU. I could see Dormammu trying to break his promise though too. So I don't be surprised if Dormammu is involved. Or here's the third option. Don't be surprised if it turns out to be Mordo. Chiwetel Ejiofor shows up at the end. After all, what was his mission at the end of the first Doctor Strange movie? He wanted to get rid of all sorcerers. He wanted to, all sorcerers no more, too many sorcerers. That's what he said. So, who knows? Mordo could be that villain at the end of the season. I did think of that before. I don't know if I ever mentioned it in any of my previous videos. I must have. I think Chiwetel Ejiofor is an actor that Paul Bettany would love to work with, because isn't Chiwetel Ejiofor, he was nominated for Best Actor for 12 Years a Slave, right? So, I mean, he's a tremendous actor. Who wouldn't want to work with Chiwetel Ejiofor? He's been in so many terrific things. And he's always been terrific in everything he's been in, that I could see Paul Bettany wanting to be like, yeah, that's an actor I really want to play off with. And he said there's going to be a lot of firecrackers. Chiwetel Ejiofor could be that villain that we see at the end of this season. But if I had to pick between Mephisto, Dormammu, or Mordo, I am going to say Mephisto. So we'll see. With that being said, guys, leave down your theories and comments and stuff in the comments section below. And I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, take care.